Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for February 8th. I'm your host, Taryn Armstrong, and with me today is Puya. How you doing, Puya?
I'm doing pretty well, Taryn. Matt comes on yesterday and kind of puts up a funeral of the feeds. Feeds are over, feeds are dead. They're not alive and well, but there's a heartbeat. There's a bit of a
Yes.
pulse, so I'm in for that. I'm here for that.
All right. Well, we are here to tell you everything that happened on the Big Brother Celebrity 2 live feeds yesterday, and they are alive. There's something there. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like if there is a heart of the live feeds, if there is a heart that's beating, that heart has a name, and that name is Tom Green.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow. And I know that you've been getting flack for your love of Tom. I will take half of that off of you and say I'm a fan of Tom. I love Tom. So come at me. If you're coming at Taryn, just come at me instead. I'm here for Tom.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. What do you want? This guy is providing us like
So
all
much.
of the strategic entertainment. He's not a good player, but he's injecting chaos into this house. Of course, I'm going to like him.
Exactly.
But apart from that, I do not like his game. But I
No.
like it. I like the watching of it. I like the watching of it. So here's why I like the watching of it.
Go ahead.
Tom Green has not talked to anybody since last night. If you recall from the previous live feed update, I was telling you that Tom was talking to the cameras and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna do something that nobody expects." And I was like, "What could that be? Is he gonna put Lolo?" No, surely it's not Lolo. He already told us about Lolo. I thought it might be Lolo, but no, he's not gonna take Natalie down and put Lolo up. He already told us about that. So maybe it is Tamar. Maybe he's gonna take Natalie down and put Tamar on the block. Then I posted this clip on Twitter where I go, he could do anything at this point. He could take Ricky down for all we know. And then I saw Matt's face next to me like Taryn. And I was like, you're right. Very unlikely, guys. Very unlikely. And lo and behold, Tom is going to use the power of veto on Ricky and put Lolo in his place, leaving the final nominees as Natalie and Lolo.
How did we get here, Taryn? From the beginning of this HOH reign, there's been one name on his mind, and it's been Ricky. And he wants Ricky's head on a spike. He's been doing everything he can. He starts thinking about, okay, I need to figure out a way to make it unanimous after he wins the veto. And like you said, he didn't talk to anybody. He told us we're in for a surprise. We didn't really know if we were going to be in for a surprise because, I mean, we're like Tom plays with us. Tom's like he tells us what he's doing. Tom's very vocal and like tries to present everything for the show for us. But he kept this from us, and I can see why. This was a pretty big thing he did, and I'm still not 1000% sure what led him to make this decision. But am I here for it? Hell yes.
Yeah, and I immediately went on Twitch when I saw that this happened, and I was just like I'm just so like this is what Big Brother Celebrity should be. This pacing should allow things to happen that we do not expect, and I love that, and it hasn't really happened. It was pretty good on Big Brother Celebrity 1 where things would happen. Whoa, like things are a little bit unexpected here. This season it's been mostly what we would expect, except for when Tom Green is HOH.
Yeah.
And he is providing us what we should have on a season that is this quick, which is, hey, you thought I was going to do one thing, but hey, look, I decided to change my mind because it's so fast. Why not? And then just like that, it is not very often that as somebody who watches the feeds come back and you are surprised by what just happened.
Exactly. And it's chaotic in the best of ways. Because I mean, we watched the clips on the show last night, and obviously it was covered on the feed updates that he goes in and has these one-on-ones with everyone after his reign and like makes these confidential deals and says, okay, I'm not gonna put you on the block, but if you're on there, like, and I'm not targeting you, then you should keep me safe. It was just so chaotic from the beginning. And then out of nowhere, the draw happens and Lolo's the one that's not going to be playing veto. And then now Lolo's on the block. And it's just been a beautiful thing to see, given that Tom is beloved, he is fun to watch, and he's trying, bless his heart. He's a little boy. He's trying to put on his big brother pants, and he's really trying to make things work. It is in shambles, but it kind of works out, because I like how you had mentioned a couple times that it's interesting that he kind of falls into this position where maybe getting Ricky out is the best thing for him. Even though he's been very vocal, and now he removed him. So now we got to reassess. Did he make the right choice for himself? Did him backing out of the Ricky deal and putting up the two girls, is that going to benefit him long term? I guess we'll have to see.
It's tough. I hope that in the episode they portray it like we saw it. I hope that they don't forecast it ahead of time, because there's no point, right? Like they like the mystery. They usually pretend like something like this could happen. Like, oh, maybe Tom will take Ricky down.
Yeah.
I don't even want that. I want Tom. I need Ricky to leave. I'm going to take Natalie down to put Lolo up to ensure that Ricky leaves. He gets into a fight with Candy about it. And then he goes into his room and it's like, I'm just thinking about how I can make this happen. And then we go to the veto ceremony and then boom, I want the audience to be just as blindsided as we were. I think that would be fantastic television. I hope that they do it right. I think that they've got some good stuff on their hands here. So yeah, and in terms of whether or not it's a good move, I went into a whole like 15-minute diatribe about this on Twitch. Honestly, at this point, Tom had gotten into such a bad position where he had pissed Candy off so much that she was maybe going to turn on him, and he had and because Candy was turning on him, Natalie might have kept Candy around if she stayed. So at that point, like Tom had been playing so badly, there's like nothing that he can do that will make it worse except completely turn Candy and Dina against him, and this has not done that. So it's not bad, and it's also not necessarily good, but it did kind of shake things up a little bit, and I think that could end up being a good thing. So I would not call it a good move, but I also don't think it's a bad move, and I think that in terms of getting what he wants out of a situation, his previous what he wanted before was correct, but his method of doing it was wrong. What he wanted this time was neutral, but his method of doing it was the good way of achieving that goal. So overall, I think this is a slightly net positive over what he had been doing previously.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like was it last week or a little bit ago I was like, well, Tom's talking about I'm gonna win everything now, and I was like, well, that's not a good way to play this game, buddy. But then he ended up being in a position where legitimately 100% of his strategy is I gotta play to win, otherwise I'm gone. And with this move, he's like kind of reversed some things, because obviously he was, guy number one. They were going to go after him no matter what happens. And now by doing this, Candy's a little bit in the forefront now. Dina's being mentioned a little bit. Obviously, he, takes Ricky down. And for a split second, it looks like, Ricky's actually like, bygones be bygones. Like, we're good now. Turns around and says, I'm still going to get rid of this guy if I have the chance. So ultimately, it's like he was in such a losing position where legitimately his only strategy is, I got to win out to make it to the end. And like now it's like, still like 90% I gotta win out, but he's got 10% wiggle room that he created that I didn't think he even had in him. And like, regardless of the fact that he went through such crazy means to gain that 10%, it's still pretty impressive for what it is, in that, hey, there are other names floating around and it's not just his anymore. That's crazy.
And I will say also, there's something to be said about the fact that because he probably needs to win out to get to the end anyway, what he had been doing before, being so focused on Ricky, going about trying to target Ricky in such a roundabout, dumb way, it was a bad look. Being such a like crazy wild card, boom, I saved Ricky, and he's successful in what he's attempting, it's a much better look. And I think that this, like, making such a crazy move gives you a little bit of like aloofness. I think that it could theoretically help him in a jury vote situation, since we probably think he's going to take somebody that he can't beat. Again, he probably still can't beat them, but it doesn't hurt. I think this looks better to a jury than what he had been doing before, and so that there's something to be said there as well.
Yeah, like, again, we've discussed at length on how crazy this Tom is and how his moves have been very like out there. But this is a situation where he starts kind of building a different image, building this is life post Kato. How is he post Kato? Like with the house guests, he's kind of been building those bonds a little bit. It's looking like he's looking better than he was obviously a week and a half ago when everyone was cursing him out and like calling him all these names. So that's good. And then looking at it from a juror perspective, the fact that he was able, for some whatever reason, was able to put this thing that he had, zeroed in on Ricky aside and like use the veto on him. That's good. He might seem like the bigger person. He might seem like someone that's actually thinking. Whereas, like, not that he wasn't being seen as thinking, he was being seen as thinking like a crazy person. So, again, it's these little victories that he's getting. They're not like amazing, accolades, but they're still good things for him moving forward. Even though, like you said, his win equity is interesting moving forward.
Yes. So Ricky is off the block now, and I will say from this point on, Ricky is decidedly less harsh about Tom. He's like, I never really hated the guy.
Yeah.
The women will of course still Tamar, Lolo, Natalie, they still hate Tom, but Ricky has pulled back a little bit, despite also saying, I think this makes us even. I'm still gonna target him. I'm not gonna keep him safe next week. I'm still coming after him, but in terms of like a guy being a guy, like all right, I never really hated the guy that much.
Exactly. A little bit of backpedaling from him. Obviously, you're not going to bite the mouth that fed you. Like, literally, you got pulled off the block. And as much as Reno...
Let's be real. If this was Lolo, she would be biting the hands that fed her.
Yeah, 1000%. And the fact is, he's been leading up to this veto. He's kind of been like, oh, I'll fall on the sword. Like, I'm fine, whatever. Like, it's cool. Like, I'm leaving. He was like seeming like he's reserved into leaving. Now, this is kind of like, I got a new lease on life. That's pretty cool. And at the same time, again, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. Like, you really shouldn't come off as an ungrateful person. You just got pulled off the block. And for whatever reason, they want to give, like, he did this so that Lolo would, like, be with them and, like, Natalie goes, whatever reasoning they want to whip out. You can tell that deep down, Ricky's grateful that this happened because he pretty much thought he was gonzo. So now, and, like, the other thing is, like I mentioned, Ricky has had one name on his lips, and that was Tom. Now, a little bit throughout the night, we see that Ricky has like a second name going up there. Obviously, Tom is still probably target numero uno, but there's still other options there.
Yes. And I do feel like Ricky's reaction here validates my read on him a little bit in terms of I thought that him saying, I'm going to fall on my sword for you women was more him thinking that he had been checkmated and he was trying to control his own narrative than it was actually trying to give up. And I think that seeing how like he was like definitely happy that he was safe, I think really kind of validates this read of like, yeah, he just thought he was a goner. Now that he's not, he's like, oh well, guess I'm still playing the game. So that's interesting there. So we get Lolo and Candy briefly talking after the veto ceremony. Candy lets Lolo know, hey, you've got me, you've got Dina, you've got Tom. At least that's what you've got. And so right away, Lolo should know she's safe, and that's it. That should be the end of the story.
Should be. We should be finishing off the update here, but that's obviously not all that Lolo does, because Lolo just can't buy it. Lolo does not accept it. And then it's just, this was like the weirdest moments of the feed was any interaction she had with Natalie for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Of just kind of discussing these things and like, are you gonna go? Am I gonna go? Oh, I don't want like. You go ahead, Taryn.
I have a whole segment here planned. It's later on, but we'll go with it later on. So we're gonna ignore a lot of the Lolo Natalie discussion until because I have a big summary because you don't want to hear they talk in circles forever. So in the meantime, Tom is again staying by himself upstairs. He is not talking to anybody. We're still trying to figure out what his reasoning was entirely. And Dina is gonna make him a tuna melt grilled cheese sandwich, and she's gonna be like, "Whoa, dude!" He's like, "Right? What do you think?" And they have just like a funny little interaction there. He's like, he's saying, "Look, I'm not hiding. I'm just giving them some space." to breathe.
Yeah. Which honestly, good move on his part. I feel like that was the right thing to do. Just kind of let them marinate in what had happened. Because obviously none of them saw this happening. None of them expected. They expected if the veto was to get used, Ricky wasn't the one going. Just like we thought Ricky was not the one being moved from the block. So this was a big surprise for everyone. Let them marinate. He's like, oh, I had food here already. She's like, yeah, but you didn't have real food.
Yeah,
So
real food, like a tuna melt grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah. I don't know what it was. It was just watching Tom eat this sandwich was kind of satisfying for me. I was like, oh, look at him getting a reward for his deed.
He really loves those sandwiches.
Yeah.
She puts a lot of butter on them. I noticed.
Yeah.
So
it's the JC strategy.
I guess so. Candy and Dina have a conversation. They were both pretty shocked by Tom's decision. They're trying to figure out why he did it. They're like, he must have realized that Natalie was the biggest threat, like we've been telling him. Like he must have listened to us when we said that. I mean, what else would have happened? We can't really figure it out. But maybe we got through to him at some point.
Yeah, my favorite part of this interaction was Candy saying, "You think he's smart?" She's like, "No." Like, "Oh, you think we're smart?" Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Also, Ricky is their next target. Ricky, after Natalie leaves, Ricky is the next to go. Lolo still the least threatening of that trio, and Candy still feels like, at the very least, she cannot target Tamar because of their relationship outside of the house. So that is what they're going to do. So Lolo has a conversation with Tamar. Lolo is upset. She's on the block. But more than just that, Puya. Lolo didn't have a chance to play in the veto. She didn't have a chance to save herself. That's not fair. That's really unfair. I don't understand why Lolo has to go through this. Nobody else on the season, no other Olympian on this season has ever had to be on the block without having a chance to save themselves. So it's so not cool and unfair that she has to experience this.
It's not fair. It's not fair. And now she knows that, oh, now I get what it feels like being on the block. You're like a ghost. 15 minutes after the nominations have been wrapped up, she feels like a ghost already. She's like, oh, now I know how it feels. Yeah, Lolo, how about the fact that your boy Ryan ended up on the block and went away within 5 minutes of being put on the block? Like, you know, she keeps talking about petitioning, which is her word for campaigning.
Yeah.
And she... like, oh, no, I don't have, like, he didn't have any time to petition, Lolo. You have a full day and a half to petition. So,
yeah,
you're not the worst off in this situation. And I love that Natalie brings that. He's like, yeah, but that's different. Like, this is me, and this is not fair to me. I'm getting backdoored, which obviously until you're Gonzo, you're not backdoored, Lolo.
Brent in the chat points out as well, she could have won HOH, which is a lot more than Ryan had.
Yep. Oh, poor Ryan.
Ryan, who had his HOH completely screwed over, his closest ally evicted on his HOH reign, couldn't compete in the next HOH, got backdoored by his fellow Olympian, essentially, and then she cried about it afterward. But no, this is unfair for Lolo.
It's not fair, Taryn. It's not fair. She got dealt a bad deal, and it's not on her at all. Her actions did not put her there.
Yeah, she's later going to talk about how, you know, it's only fair that everyone lets both of her and Natalie know exactly what they're going to do so she can prepare for what the outcome is. And I literally saw a tweet from Marissa on Twitter where she tagged Joey Cato and Jonathan, and she was like, hey, so you guys, did they let you know what the decision was before you got evicted? Did they give you time to prepare because that was fair?
These Celebrity Big Brother previous players really putting in their money's worth here. Really trying to control what goes on.
This is part of the game, and these celebrities need to understand that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like come next season, probably it's going to be more of the learning curve. I feel like season 2 doesn't really realize yet that this is something that could happen. So maybe after this season wraps up, the next batch will be more aware of, hey, the outside matters. When these people leave, they see everything. And they know everything, and there are receipts all over the internet. So
yeah, and it's not about like not playing the game. It's just about not being a mean hypocrite behind the scenes for no reason.
That's all. That's all you really need to do. That's all we're asking is don't do that, and you'll be okay. Generally,
Like, yeah, because like if you think about it, like somebody like Tyler who lost the game because maybe lots of reasons, but one of them because he didn't have close enough connections. Maybe he had betrayed too many people. But if they had the feeds, they would have seen that he was like a pretty nice guy about it. And they probably would have been more likely to vote for him. It's not about playing the game too hard when they can watch. It's about just being a nice person behind the scenes when they can see it. It's that simple.
But be cerebral. Play the game as, good as you need to, or as like hard as you need to. But then also, if you're a nice person inside and out and you're portraying that and you seem friendly, you seem approachable, that's kind of like the recipe you need to do a more complete game in Celebrity Big Brother than you would in regular Big Brother.
Yeah. So just lessons to future celebrities who are listening to this morning update from February 8th.
All three of you.
So Lolo is going to talk to Natalie, and did I miss oh yeah, Natalie talked to Tamar and Ricky. She said, I want to stay. I want to fight. I feel bad for Lolo, but I want to fight. I want to stay in this game. That's going to, very much like Ricky, when she learns that maybe she wouldn't have the votes to stay, her tune changes a little bit. So she's gonna talk to Lolo, and she's gonna be like, "Hey, I don't know if I want to fight. I don't know if I want to fight for this. I don't know if I can do that to you, Lolo." Very much the opposite of what she had said previously. They also talk about how they will never vote for Tom in the end. And this is like, we just got done discussing just be a nice person. Also, don't discuss how you're definitely going to be a bitter jury member, because as I mentioned last night, it just, like, if there's any reluctance on Jonathan's part of like, I really want to vote for the person who played the best game, and then he sees a conversation between Lolo and Natalie who are like, no, Tom's pissed us off, so we're definitely not voting for him. It's like, well, according to your own logic, I shouldn't vote for you.
Yeah.
So maybe you should chill on that. They agree they would love to give it to Dina. They talk about who would win if it was Tamar and Candy. Probably Candy. And then, yeah, like I said, Natalie's like, I don't really want to fight you, Lolo.
Yeah, and this comes off on the heels of like, so Lolo's been doing this thing from the very onset where she's kind of victiming herself, victim noises, as Cody would say, where she's like, I mean, I'm sad just because I don't have anyone to go out to. I'm going to go out to an empty home, just me. And then you can tell that this kind of like plays off on Natalie, because then she's like, girl, like, I have a husband, I have a life, like, you don't have anyone. No offense, that wasn't an offensive thing. So this kind of, because like, this is obviously, like you said earlier, we're going to be talking in circles with these people. And it starts off with, oh, like, but may the best person. Oh, no. Okay, I'll go. Oh, no. Okay, so may the best person. And then it just keeps going round and round with these two.
Yes, it's Natalie. And I have a husband. I have people to take care of me. So it's okay if I leave. Lolo, you're going home to an empty house. And I don't say that to be rude. And I immediately in my head, and I tweeted this out, I was just like, uh-oh. Natalie, I can't believe you're making fun of Lolo for being single and unmarried, having an empty home. I can't believe you're using that to manipulate her. It's inhumane. It's terrible. It's worse than what Tom did with Lolo's Olympic dreams, which was also terrible. I cannot believe it. Oh, wait a minute. Lolo doesn't mind this one.
Yeah, no. This is cool. This is completely okay. Because Natalie's saying it, of course.
And this was actually like a little bit like the way that Tom worded it was like, I want to support your dreams. I want to help you. Natalie was like, I mean, I've got a husband. You're going to an empty home. So I feel like I should take pity on you. But this one is okay. The other one, not okay.
Yeah, the only person this reminded me of is when Sabrina and BB Cantu was crying. It's like, you know what he said to me? Go home to your dog. Only, like, obviously this wasn't said in a very, like, I want you to leave way, but it was like, I don't want you to go to your empty house, with your 12 plants and your protein shakes. Like, I don't want that for you.
Yeah.
So what a hero.
they're gonna continue to go back and forth for a long time, debating between themselves who is gonna leave. They think that they get to decide, and so Natalie is going back and forth between like, I'm just gonna give it to you, Lolo, because I think she figures out that she probably doesn't have the votes of Candy or Dina, and that she would need to campaign to get them, and who knows if that would work. And she doesn't want to be seen as campaigning against Lolo. So she's kind of hovering back and forth between, I'm going to go anyway, so I'm going to pretend that I'm giving up. And then also Ricky and Tamar talk to her, and they're like, we want you to stay. And she's like, oh, maybe I can stay, but I don't want to be seen as campaigning. Would you guys campaign? But I don't want to. I'm not being seen as campaigning. And when she talks to Lolo, she's like, I'm going back and forth. Like, sometimes I kind of want to be here, but I kind of don't want to do that to you, Lolo. And Lolo's like, oh yeah, and I don't want you to have to give up for me. But she's going back and forth between like trying to guilt trip her friend into giving up for her, and then also like not trying to look like she's doing that, and trying to seem like, no, it's cool though. But also Lolo is having trouble because Ricky and Tamar very clearly want Natalie to stay over Lolo. So if Lolo wants to stay, she has to campaign to Candy and Dina, and she feels like that's like, she doesn't want to be seen doing that. And she also feels like it's unfair because Natalie has a head start on campaigning, on petitioning, and so she's already petitioned to Candy and Dina, and so now if she goes and petitions to Candy and Dina, that she, Natalie's already talked to them, so it's basically pointless. So it's a lot. And then Ricky and Tamar, they're just like, why don't you guys just decide? And so then they try to debate between each other about who should stay and what they should decide. And none of this matters because Candy, Dina, and Tom are voting Natalie out.
Yeah, it's stupid. And this is the thing. Let it be known, this is what happens when you create a best friends club, and then you're like, oh, I don't care, whoever, like, we love each other, and we made it through this game together. That's all well and good, but if you both truly want to stay, then you both should understand that you can both do whatever you need to do, and whoever leaves is whoever leaves. Like, that should have been done, discussed, and left, and then they can go campaign or petition or, get signatures or whatever you want to call it. Shouldn't be a problem. But because they want to, like, again, there's this moral compass of them being the heroes and Tom's side being the villain, they've convinced themselves we can't do this to each other. It goes against every fiber of our being to do this. But then obviously they keep having these little moments where one comes back up and goes, actually, I really want to stay, so I really have to do something about it. And then Lolo comes in, and Lolo's like, well, it's kind of bullshit because she had a 30-meter head start by petitioning yesterday, and now she's saying don't petition. That's not fair. But then no, but I love her. But like, okay, you know what we should do, Taryn? We should just pray on it. Yeah. We'll just sleep, pray on it, and then this morning we'll decide what's going to happen.
And also, they don't want to give Tom the satisfaction of breaking a tie. That's important as well.
Yeah.
So lots of things to consider for a decision that is not up to them in any way. Tamar and Ricky are going to go and feel Candy and Dina out in terms of this vote. And because they want Natalie to stay. They discussed between themselves, Natalie is the person they want to have stay in the game. Lolo is too much of a loose cannon, and they both feel closer to Natalie, and they feel like Natalie can help them take Tom out more effectively. They also discussed, Tamar was like, hey, if we do keep Natalie, we still good for Final Two? And Ricky's like, of course. And I was like, whoa, look at that. These two playing a little more than I thought they were.
Yeah. So now we got to decide if their name is Raymar or Tiki.
Here's the thing. I don't think either of them are true to this Final Two. I think they're both lying to each other. I think Ricky plans on taking Natalie or Lolo, and I think that Tamar still probably plans on taking Candy, although that may be changing, but you never quite know. We saw on the show in the diary room, she said she definitely wants Candy in the Final Two. She's constantly getting mad at Candy and pretending like she's changing her mind about that, but who knows. Personally, when I saw Tamar say she wants to take Candy to the Final Two, I was like, ooh, that she is drawing dead. Basically, if that is the case and it doesn't change, then Tamar needs a very specific set of circumstances to occur in order to win the game. Basically, she needs Candy to be evicted before the final four, because otherwise she will win the final four HOH and take Candy and lose. And nobody is taking her. So that her only case in getting to the final two is a losing case. So she needs Candy to be evicted by somebody else because she won't do it. So she needs to lose the HOH, and she needs Candy to leave, and then she also needs she needs to lose the HOH again because she's not going to take out Ricky or Lolo. She needs the other person to leave to be Ricky or Lolo, and she needs somebody else to do that as well. So she needs somebody else to win and take Candy out, and then she needs somebody else to win and take Ricky or Lolo out, and then she will take probably the remaining person, Ricky or Lolo, and Ricky or Lolo will probably take her, and then she can maybe win. I'm not sure Ricky versus Tamar. I think that would be close. Tamar versus Lolo, that's her winning case. So if she plans on taking Candy to the end, I feel like she's close to drawing dead here. However, if she gets mad enough at Candy, interestingly enough, if she gets mad enough at Candy for no good reason, then her chances of winning increase because she will no longer want to take Candy to the final two.
Yeah, and this is the thing with Tamar that we've seen. That kind of was one of the reasons why Candy ended up staying over Joey, is that Tamar clearly sees this as a redemption arc for her. A, it's a redemption arc for her and Candy. B, for her business, she believes that getting rid of Candy would like muddy the waters for her. That's no good for her life outside of the house, so she can't do that. And I think she sees this as a good story. The problem is Candy was seen as a non-threat up until this past week. So now it's kind of the situation where they might be turning. She might be realizing, okay, maybe Candy's not good for me. But that's what I think is that's probably going to change, especially because Tamar's just so against Tom. And because Candy's more and more being seen as someone in Tom's corner, that might end up deading that connection for her. And again, that will be to her blessings if that happens. So we'll have to see how this plays out for her. But I do agree. I think she's drawing dead if she sits there with Candy at the end.
Yeah, basically, if she continues with this idea that she should take Candy to the final two and she wins either of the next two HOHs, she's lost the game because she wants Tom out of the game. If Tom leaves, that means Candy is almost definitely in the final four, or at least Ricky and Lolo are in the final four, and she would have to win. And I think that if she decides against Candy, she probably would take Ricky over Lolo, which I think is a tougher beat. And I'm not entirely sure who would win that one. So, you know, it's a tough spot. Yeah. So anyway, Tamar and Ricky, they're going to try and convince Candy and Dina to take out Lolo instead of Natalie. And Candy immediately is just, no, Natalie's stronger. She'll put me on the block. And Tamar's like, no, but listen, we need Natalie because she's stronger, because we need her to go after Tom. We need to take out Tom. And Candy's like, we don't.
We're fine.
He's not that threatening. She's like, no, he's going to win. He's going to win everything. She's like, yeah, well, who cares?
No nonsense Candy might be my favorite version of Candy. The fact that she's just put it out there like, hey, I know what I'm doing. Whatever you're saying is not going to stick to me. She's not even playing it anymore. She's like, it's dumb. Like, you guys are being dumb. And to try and look at me in the face and tell me, like, she can tell it's insulting to her intelligence that they're trying to convince her, hey, keep the one person who's definitely coming after you. And she knows that as a fact. And she's told, Natalie what's going to happen, and she's pretty much going to stick to it.
Yeah, and it's almost like, again, like she's dragging Tamar, kicking and screaming, into Tamar's best. Like, this is good for Tamar. Not only is it good for Tamar for Natalie to leave here, but it's also because it's not good for Tamar for Tom to leave, but it's also good for Tamar to get pissed off by Candy.
Yeah.
Because then she's less likely to take Candy to the final two. Candy is unintentionally really doing her best to help Tamar in this spot.
Yeah, doing herself a favor and Tamar a huge favor. Not to mention that if one of the four people in that alliance leave, that opens room for Tamar to potentially be picked to, taken to the end. Obviously, we've talked about how one of the other two need to go for that to be more clear. But this is still a win-win-win-win for Tamar, but I don't think she sees it. And the fact that she doesn't see it is helping her.
Yeah, so then Ricky joins them, and Ricky is going to trying to convince Dina and Candy that, no, let's let's take Natalie, keeping Natalie off the table for now. What if we just let them decide? Why don't we just respect their wishes? I mean, that just seems like the most zen response to me, and I just feel like respecting their wishes makes the most sense. And Dina and Candy are like, nah.
Candy's like, no offense, but I already know who I'm voting for.
Yeah.
So you just shut it down. Yeah.
Guys, we got this. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Ricky's magic in the opening week of, you know, being the Zen god and, you know, getting people to like being there to uplift them and benefit them like he thinks his story was, is starting, like, obviously at this point it's starting to break off. Like, they're not gonna fall for it anymore. It's over. He doesn't have the pull that he did. He only has it with Natalie and Lolo at this point.
Yes. So there you go. Ricky wants to, after this conversation, they're both mad at Candy. She had an attitude. Her attitude was she didn't want to do what you guys told her to do. That was her attitude.
She's the worst.
Yeah, Ricky is like, so you're not going to change your mind about Candy, right? Like you're against her now. You hate her. And Tamar's like, yes, I will not change my mind after what just happened. Can you believe the terribleness of Candy? The retelling of this is gonna get worse and worse as we go on here. It's absurd. What the way that Tamar retells this conversation and portrays Candy, who is just like, what? No. This is what is best for me, so I'm gonna do it. Turns into like this overly dramatic. You guys get the gist at this point. In terms of what Tamar is capable of, it's crazy. I tweeted out just this morning, I really want the show. The one thing I'm looking for in the show now left is that now that we got Serial Box Osprey, is that I want a supercut of conversations that Tamar had versus immediately cut to Tamar's retelling of the conversations. I just feel like that would be fantastic. And yes, I understand it's a little extra difficult for the editors, but hey, this is your job, so that's all I'm saying.
Do your job. Yeah, I feel like we're on a good streak right now. Yesterday's episode was great. Hopefully tonight will be great. And if they can somehow fit this in there, that'll be also good. Because the thing with Tamar is she's like a wind up. So you just got to wind her up and then leave her. And then she just aggressively hops around and like retells these stories and they become worse and worse and worse. So it's great. If we get to see it on the show, it's great. If we don't get to see it on the show, we had them on the feed. So that's also good.
Yes. So they are going to have a conversation with Tamar and Ricky are going to go to Lolo and Natalie and tell them about their conversation with Candy and Dina. And so they talk about how she has an attitude. It's a dramatic retell, and they clearly are working with Tom. They clearly made a deal with Tom, and so as they're explaining this, as they're explaining what happened, it's becoming very clear to Lolo through the retelling of this story. Oh, so you guys were trying to convince Candy and Dina to vote me out, and Tamar's like, oh no, of course not. We were just talking through some things and options and everything and just asking questions and stuff.
It's no big deal. Yeah, I feel like the only saving grace here is the reminder of, no, we're just trying to see like if it was left up to you guys, how would that would that be cool? Because obviously otherwise you're clearly campaigning for one of us to go. Yeah. So it's not a good look. And it's just, this is, I think, probably the number one most frustrating thing with this group of people is just the way they get really pissed off when people don't listen to what they say, when it's clearly in their best interest not to listen to what they have to say.
Yeah. It's very strange.
Yeah.
They all do agree, though. Tom is still the target. But Natalie says, Candy, though. Which is exactly why Candy needs Natalie to leave. And Natalie's like, I don't know. I think Candy can beat all of us in the final two. I think that she's a big threat. But Ricky's like, yeah, but nobody's going to take her to the final two. Except for Tom. We need to get Tom out. Tom is the threat. So they're like, oh, okay. So they're probably going to put up Tom and Candy. But they also mentioned putting up Tom and Dina. And then putting up Candy if the veto is used. Which is so dumb. It's what Candy had to talk Tom out of doing this week, only worse. Because they have no reason to do it. They don't even have Tom's crazy reasoning to do it. There's no even semblance of any kind of reasoning behind this. Well, I don't know why they would even mention it as a possibility. It's so dumb.
Like, you'd think the fact that they were literally in the last veto where one person was sitting out and they had their one scenario of if Lolo wins it and takes one of us off, two of us are safe. The fact that that scenario didn't pan out, and now that it's a chance for every single one moving forward, and they think that Candy and Tom are tight, this is really dumb. The fact that they don't realize that, hey, no matter what, they can all play veto, and no matter what, if she wins it, she can pull them down. And I guess that's the one thing that Candy's got going for her, is the fact that she hasn't won any competitions, and just bare competitions alone, Tom looks like the bigger threat, so they're still going to zero in on Tom more. But I agree, if they leave, if they put Dina up on the block, Dina who hid from stuff, Dina who ran into the gym drunkenly and did running, like, if they're really that worried to put Dina up instead of Candy, they're really looking at this the wrong way.
I don't think they understand that if the person who's not on the block wins the veto, one of them is going home. Because Candy will use the veto on Tom or Dina, doesn't matter, and they will be forced to nominate one of themselves and not have the votes to save them. So, look, I would be very glad if that happened. I think it would be very funny, but it always just frustrates me to see people saying things that don't make sense. So, anyway. We'll see what they do. Maybe they're going to figure it out. Yeah. Tom is going to have a conversation with Dina, and he finally explains a little bit about what he was thinking with the Ricky veto. He says that basically he changed his mind after seeing Candy betray him. That Candy reacted the way that she did when he proposed the idea to veto Natalie and get rid of Ricky. She immediately ran to Tamar. So Tom thinks that Candy is a mole. He doesn't trust her at all. He thinks that she is working with the other side and that she is just funneling information to them. So he was like, basically, if Ricky was on the block at all, no matter what, he was going to leave because Candy was betraying us. So with that in mind, if Ricky was going to stay, no matter what, no matter what, Ricky was going to stay, no matter who I put up next to him. So if that's the case, then I might as well veto him and try to get some goodwill with the guy that's going to stay anyway. And so that's sort of what he was feeling. And I think this also ties into what I was saying last night and on Twitch in terms of, like, I think that it's a way of, you know, this isn't my mistake by somehow letting Ricky slip through the cracks and then he takes me out. This is me being the bigger man and taking Ricky off the block. And then if he takes me out, it's like, you know, look, I was the bigger man. So this is kind of how this ended up happening. I think it's this idea that hey, if Ricky's gonna stay anyway, I might as well be the bigger guy and try to get some goodwill going on there. And so yeah, there you go.
This is what happens when Tom Green is left to his own thoughts for too long. The man just thought of too many scenarios, and now Candy's the mole, and obviously he does the move that he did now. But for me, it's interesting to find this out because, you know, it kind of makes sense if it was real. If truly,
if Candy really was a mole, yeah.
Brilliant move. He nailed it. He Sherlock Holmes his way out of it. But it's not the case. But again, it's kind of interesting because removing Ricky off the block is better than Ricky staying, being on the block. So that at least it saves him a little bit of face. And like we've discussed on this very update, the fact that Ricky kind of looks like he has a new lease on life and he's backed off of, you know, trashing Tom a little bit is indicative of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got to say, in terms of what Tom saw, it's not a crazy thing to think that Candy is a mole, given that he had a conversation with her and then like 5 minutes later, Tamar is screaming at him about everything that he just talked about with Candy. And not only that, but all of the rest of the house knew too, because what happened was Candy immediately told Tamar, who immediately told Natalie, Lolo, and Ricky. And so from his perspective, it's like this wasn't just information somehow seeping out eventually. This is Candy deliberately just immediately told everyone. obviously, the reality of this is Candy was just so frustrated that she was venting to Tamar, and then it got way out of hand. But you can kind of see why Tom would think that Candy is not on his side, given that he was getting screamed at 5 minutes after his conversation with her.
Yeah, because the problem is with Tom is that when he thinks we're cool, he thinks we're super cool. Everything's great, no problems at all. But obviously, Candy felt like she wasn't being heard. Candy felt like literally everything I've been saying is falling on deaf ears because now you're back in on this Ricky thing. So she, like you said, goes and vents, and then he hears this come back to him, and he starts realizing, oh, maybe we're not super cool, chill, fun friends. Like, that's not what's going on here. That's not okay. And then obviously he concocts this plan, which ultimately I think we're all grateful for.
Yes.
This was great.
Yes.
Fun. Yeah.
So Dina is like, no, we can trust Candy. Believe me, we're good. Dina, again, having like a very solid read on the house. Like, she knows everything. She's like, it's those three versus us three now. Candy is on our side. I'm telling you. I don't even care if they effing know. Oh no, don't show me swearing. Don't show me swearing. I don't swear. And so she says, no, we can trust her. He's like, no, she's a mole. She says, no, she's not a mole. We can trust her. She's got her vote. I promise you. They eventually get together with Candy, and they do agree to work together. There's a little bit of like a Dina, like, you're not gonna tell Tamar this, are you? Like, you're not a mole. And Candy's like, I'm not a mole. I'm not gonna tell anyone. And so they agree to work together. They're all good. Ricky is their next target, and Tom says he wants the final four to be them plus Tamar, which. I feel like it would be better for him to have Lolo, but whatever. This is Tom we're talking about.
Yeah.
And he does still feel like they can pull Lolo in. What he wants them to do is have Dina go to Lolo, Dina and Candy go to Lolo and tell her, hey, Ricky and Tamar tried to flip them against you. And so that's not a terrible move. I think that at the very least would cause a bit of tension between them. So this is that's one of the plans that they're discussing. And yeah, they're finally together. They're gonna work together. It's gonna be great.
It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. It's funny, Taryn, because last week we sat on this update, you and I, and we were discussing the drunken fight between Candy and Dina. Dina was like losing it. Everyone was against Tom. And to look at it a week later, and these three are forming a thing. Dina has good reads on the house. Candy's playing the game. Tom is still Tommin'. So it's been a bit of a transformation, but it's been ultimately a positive one. I feel like last week, if you told me we're going to get to better places, I wouldn't have believed you. So I'm happy with where this is. And I obviously, personally, I would really hope that they do talk to Lolo and they do let her know what was going on. Because we've seen Lolo's temper, like she on a dime, she can snap. So we'll see how she feels about all this. Maybe it causes a blow up. Maybe it doesn't do anything. We'll just have to find out. But I would like to see what happens there.
Yeah, there you go. So that's basically the day in the house here. We have the double eviction coming up tonight. Still, the most likely people to be evicted, in my view, are Candy and Tom. Tom first, then Candy, and that's unfortunate. But you know, things can happen. If they leave Candy off the block, then one of them could leave on one of their own HOHs. You know, we could see Ricky leave. We could see Lolo leave. We could see Tamar leave. That is a possibility here, especially if they do talk to Lolo and feel good about her. So there are basically anyone can leave except for Dina.
Yeah.
Dina should be safe here because basically, if Dina goes up next to Tom, Tom will leave. If Dina goes up next to Tom and Tom wins the veto, Candy will go up and Candy will leave. If Dina goes up next to Tom and Candy wins the veto, then Candy will veto one of them, and then one of Lolo, Ricky, or Tamar will leave. So that's actually another scenario where Tamar could leave is if one of Ricky or Lolo wins the HOH, and then whoever's not on the block wins the veto, then Tamar would be the person they sacrifice. Probably, and then so Tamar would be gone. So yeah, Melissa in the chat. Thanks, Taryn. Now Dina's leaving. Sure, you never know, but Dina's safe. Dina's safe.
Yeah. Unlikely, as you say, unlikely.
Yeah,
but Dina's safe.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's unlike. I think Dina is safe. Unless something major changes, I think Dina is 100% safe. So I have to be specific with my calls here now.
Yeah. Yeah. Brent is on the brink of probably getting a soundboard ready to put all these things on and just pull them out on the round table. So watch your back, Taryn. I feel like that's coming.
We also got some Twitter information here. After Dina's catfishing segment last night, a man has surfaced on Twitter. Calls himself Jesse Douglas Nadler on Twitter.
Okay.
And he says... He replies to the CBS Big Brother Twitter account and says, "You can call me anything you like, but one thing I'm not is a catfish." He also likes to make 3 commas every time he puts a comma, which is weird. "Me and Dina have something special, comma, comma, comma. A connection. I'm old school, comma, comma, comma. I don't FaceTime, comma, comma, comma. Don't text." I'm going to stop with the commas. "Hell, I still play old records instead of CDs, but one thing is true. I love that Dina." And I don't know about this, guys, because he has a picture of himself, right?
Okay.
He's got a profile. This account is from 2013, but he has 9 total tweets. He has like 3 different pictures that he's posted like 5 different times.
Oh, jeez.
And yeah, and like one of them is very clearly a very old picture. Like his hair color is different.
Right.
I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't know about this, guys.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I have had friends in high school who chatted like that with ellipses after every sentence or comma, comma, comma instead of ellipses. I've seen that. So that is definitely human activity. It's not a robot catfish. So that's good to know. But at the same time, you know, it's just funny because Dina's line on the show last night is, "Not everyone uses an iPhone." That's correct, Dina. Not everyone uses an iPhone. So FaceTime could be out of the equation. There's Skype. There's WhatsApp. There's Boteam. There's so many video calls. There's Facebook Messenger. I mean, no one's using it, but you can call people on video if you wanted to there. So it's just a little suspect. This man is a little... I mean, if they've never met, it's a little suspect. So I hope it's real. I would love nothing more than to be wrong. You know, I'm always we're pro romance on the live feed updates. So we hope it's real, but it's a little bit suspect, especially with the 3 like rotating pictures and one is real old school. Come on, man.
Yeah. So look, I'm with you. I hope that this is just an old school guy. Who loves Dina. Not enough to go see her in 5 years, but loves her. And so that's what we're all hoping for.
Yeah, there wasn't an email attached to like donate any funds or anything.
No.
For profit. No. Okay, good. Not a Prince thing. We're good.
Yes. All right. So that's what we've got for you. We had a little catfish update. We are definitely Team Dina.
Yes.
We want to support her in any way we can.
Absolutely. So much so that we're going to say she's not going home tonight. So.
There you go. All right. Thank you for joining us, guys. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Armstrong Taran. Puya is at Puyaism. And we will be live tonight. Aika will be joined by Brent. And they will be recapping the double eviction, the 2-hour double eviction special. I'm hoping this is going to be a good episode. I think they've got some great material for the first half, and then there's a double eviction half. It might lead to a tragic outcome, but hopefully it'll be fun in the process. So look out for that. And then, of course, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, I will be live to tell you all about what happened on the feeds today and post double eviction. There's going to be a lot to update, so make sure you tune in. All right.
It'll be a fun time.
Thank you once again for joining us. I'll see you next time.